Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Well, we are now talking about those cooler days, and that's because temperatures are going to be slipping by tomorrow. Now, they did slip earlier today. We had a lot more 80s when it came to daytime highs than those typical 90s, and we had those 90s yesterday. We're feeling a whole lot of that heat. It's still pretty warm out there with some 80s, but we're going to be backing away from that, going into widespread 70s over the next few days. When we look at our weather headlines, you have cloud cover that's starting to roll right back in tonight through tomorrow morning. You see that in the distance from our Mount Soledad cam. That marine layer will be back, and it's going to extend more inland, filling in west of the mountains and also thickening up. So that offers up a chance that we could see some patchy drizzle as we go from tonight through tomorrow morning. Also breezy winds in the forecast. We do have a wind alert for the mountains as well as for the desert. More of a breeze west of the mountains when you're talking about the teens and 20s for wind gusts, and then you had the stronger ones across the mountains in the desert for today, but that looks to wrap up late tonight. Temperatures will be cooler than usual for a few days, and then by the weekend they start to warm up a little bit more, but still falling short of seasonal for this time of the year. You'll see that in your extended forecast. So the wind advisory still an alert all the way until about 1 in the morning, and so that's going to be very late tonight. We are looking at winds that have been favorable, the stronger ones for the mountains as well as for the desert. Sustained wind speeds about 15 to 25 miles per hour, and those gusts up to about 40 miles per hour. So that picked up earlier this afternoon around 2 p.m. with the alert. Wind speeds still fairly breezy out there, but things do look to calm down as we go into those late night hours. For your overnight lows, you have lots of 60s out there right there along the coast at 66 degrees. That's for Carlsbad. The same for Del Mar, and also talking about 66 degrees for downtown. You also have some low 60s for Poway as well as for El Cajon, and 50s across the mountains. Your daytime highs for tomorrow, a whole lot with those 70s. Lots of 70s across the county. And what's typical, as I mentioned, for this time of the year is actually the low 90s across the inland valleys. So getting away from that as we hit 77 degrees for Escondido, 79 degrees for El Cajon, the same for Ramona. You have 73 degrees for downtown tomorrow, and also 71 degrees for Del Mar as well as for Carlsbad. Even the 70s extending into the mountains. And, well, still a fairly warm temperature when you're talking about 90s across the desert, but it's getting away from triple-digit heat and any of those really hot temperatures that the desert has been plagued with, especially with the heat alerts over the past few months. So trying to go in the opposite direction with this onshore flow picking up. You have your surf forecast about 2 to 4 feet, and also a moderate risk of rip currents at our local beaches. So we have an area of low pressure that is moving in right along the west. It is pushing out that ridge of high pressure that has been bringing us the heat, and so as it moves towards the east, that allows for this area of low pressure to make that dip right there across the west, and you can see the changes with our air mass as the cooler temperatures will be north of us. Also a chance for some scattered showers for Northern California. We're not going to see that at best, as mentioned, patchy drizzle with a deepening of the marine layer. That's going to be tonight through tomorrow morning, and again Wednesday night through Thursday morning. We will hold on to these cooler than usual temperatures as that low pressure system does move overhead, and that's going to be into Friday. So not just talking about the next couple of days, but all the way into the end of the work week when it does come to these cooler than usual temperatures, talking about those widespread 70s west of the mountains. You have the low 70s for the coast, the upper 70s across the inland valleys. By this weekend, still holding on to those low 70s for the coast, but then you also have some low 80s returning for the inland valleys, still falling short of seasonal by roughly about 10 degrees. And then we have temperatures warming up by next week. That's going to bring us right back to the upper 70s for the coast by Tuesday, as well as those upper 80s, something a little bit more seasonal by Tuesday of next week, even some low 90s across the inland valleys. You have the low 70s over the next few days. That's for the mountains. By the weekend, right back into those 80s. 80s will continue all the way into next week, and lots of 90s for the desert. Average high for this time of the year around 104, so getting away from that by a few degrees. 92 degrees at least through about Friday. Pretty consistent with that temperature, and right back to those upper 90s a week from today. So about a week. So we'll take a look at all those details as we do get closer towards the weekend forecast with a little bit more of a warm up, but it doesn't look to be anything that's going to be warm enough to actually warrant an alert. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully you enjoy the forecast. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.